visits by relatives who are planning to spend the summer in Arvis, social gatherings, insurance issues for the trade ship to sail next month. Matthias, sitting at the backside of the carriage, stared outside the window as his butler Hessen reported the family's pending issues. Matthias replied to Hessen's words with a brief answer or a nod. The directors were in charge of the company, and Matthias's mother and grandmother were in charge of the family affairs. But the power to make the ultimate decision was up to Duke Gerhardt. And Matthias has been in that position ever since he was 12 years old. By the time Matthias entered the Platonist road to the Gerhardt territory, Hessen's report was over. Matthias gazed at the familiar scenery with his head tilted at an angle. The tall trees that lined both sides of the driveway were arched as if they were holding hands. The fragmented sunlight gliding through the swaying leaves embroidered the path like a beautiful pattern. Passing the road and into the territory, a white mansion with a deep blue roof had revealed itself. At the front door, the mother and grandmother were out to greet the family's head. While Matthias was straightening the position of his already linear tie, the door to the wagon opened. "Welcome, Matthias." The Dowager Duchess of Arvis, Norma Katerina von Gerhardt, greeted her grandson with a bright smile. Matthias bowed his head and accepted his grandmother's kiss. Elise von Gerhardt, who was standing behind them, approached Matthias with a slightly more straightforward attitude. "You've grown taller." She gave him a warm hug and smiled. Her dark black hair, just like her son's, shined in the early summer sun. Matthias replied with a corresponding smile. The greetings that were shared with the other servants who were waiting in line were not much different. Matthias's refined manner and proper courtesy were distinctly shown towards the servants. He was the perfect owner of this family, Duke Gerhardt. Standing between his grandmother and mother, Matthias took the lead and crossed the lobby hall. Before he climbed up the stairs, he suddenly raised his head and looked up the huge chandelier that was lit up in the middle of the day. Beyond the chandelier was the crest of Gerhardt family imprinted on the ceiling. He was a Gerhardt. It was another name for intelligence, elegance, and unrelenting character. In his own life, Matthias never had any complaints or doubts. He was well aware of the type of life he had to live in, and was willing to accept it. He handled his life as if he were breathing, and it was easy as that. With his gaze focused down, Matthias climbed up the stairs with large strides. When the owner of the household safely entered the mansion, the servants were now able to properly breathe. The people of Arvis prepared for days in advance to thoroughly greet Duke Gerhardt. Everything and everyone had to be perfect on his arrival, including those who were residing on his land. The servants had to be on their best appearances. The Arvis uninvited guest, Layla Llewellyn, was no exception. "Did the Duke go in already?" Layla, standing at the edge of the group of servants, whispered in a rather disappointed voice. The ivory dress that Bill had bought fluttered along with the girl's movement. "You'll see Duke Gerhardt in the woods. I'll have to ask for permission then." Bill Remmer gave out a blunt answer and started walking towards the woods. Ran after him. "Does the Duke like the forest as well?" "Well, yeah, sure. He likes hunting. Hunting in the woods." Layla's eyes grew wide open. Bill snorted as he glimpsed down the child. "Isn't it natural the forest is the hunting ground for this family? Then, does he hunt birds too?" "The Duke enjoys hunting birds the most." Layla stopped walking in contemplation at Bill's insignificant remark. After realizing what he had said, Bill awkwardly gave out a dry cough. He thought of appeasing her with a proper lie. But Duke Gerhardt was scheduled to be on the hunting ground in a couple of days. He was worried that he might give the child a greater shock if he tried to relieve her with his white lies. "You'll be surprised when you see the Duke's shooting skills. He's young, but he's a great marksman," Bill babbled because he thought he had to say at least something to reassure the young girl. But Layla was already on the verge of tears. "Why does he like catching birds? There's lots of food in a mansion like that." To the nobleman, hunting is just a form of leisure. Birds are the most interesting targets to shoot at, and Bill once again realized what he had said and turned towards Layla. His eyes were met with Layla's upset face. "Why did you have to like birds so much?" Bill almost yelled out. He didn't know why he was bothering to explain all these things to her. while having to be careful of the child's feelings.